The first time Maribel crossed, noticed the man on the steps, she almost walked past him, the way most people did, eyes forward, thoughts already drifting to the day ahead. But something in the quiet way he sat, his back straight despite the wear in his coat, his hands folded neatly on his knees, as if he were waiting for someone, made her slow down. It was a bright Monday morning outside the small railway station in a coastal English town. Maribel was 26, fresh out of university and just a few weeks into her first office job at a local shipping firm. She had left her flat earlier than usual, nerves buzzing with the pressure of wanting to do well. As she passed the steps, the man lifted his eyes. They were calm, a soft gray, and they held no expectation, only a gentle acknowledgment of her presence. "Good morning," he said quietly. She smiled before she could think about it. "Good morning." He didn't ask for anything. He didn't hold out a cup. He simply nodded, as though greeting a neighbor. That was what made her pause. She took a few steps, then turned back. Are you all right?" she asked. He hesitated, then gave a small, almost apologetic smile. "I'm managing. Thank you for asking." Maribel glanced at her watch, then at the bakery across the street. She had skipped breakfast. Without quite knowing why, she crossed the road, bought 2 warm rolls and a cup of tea, and returned. "I thought you might like this," she said, handing them to him. For a moment he looked startled, then deeply moved. "That's very kind of you. I'm Thomas." "I'm Maribel." He accepted the food with careful hands, as if it were something precious. "You've made my morning brighter than you know." She waved it off lightly. "It's nothing, really." But as she walked away, she felt something settle warmly in her chest, a quiet sense that she had done something that mattered. From that day on, Maribel greeted Thomas whenever she passed. Sometimes she brought an extra sandwich. Sometimes they just exchanged smiles. He never asked for more, and she never felt pressured to give, but their brief conversations became small islands of connection in her busy mornings. She learned that he had once worked in bookkeeping, that he loved classical music, and that he had fallen on difficult times after a series of family responsibilities and personal setbacks had left him without steady work. He never complained. He spoke gently, as if he were more concerned about the world's troubles than his own. Months passed. Then one morning the steps were empty. Maribel felt an unexpected pang. She looked around and even asked a nearby shopkeeper if they had seen him. No one knew where Thomas had gone. She worried for days, then weeks, hoping he was safe. Life moved on. Maribel grew into her job, proving herself dependable and thoughtful. She stayed late when needed, helped new colleagues settle in, and quietly took pride in doing things well. Over the years, she was promoted from junior assistant to logistics coordinator, and then to operations planner. Her hair grew a little longer, her wardrobe a little more professional, but she never lost the gentle way she spoke to people. 5 years later, her company announced that it had been acquired by a larger international firm. There were rumors of changes, new leadership, and a major restructuring. The office buzzed with uncertainty. One Monday morning, everyone was called into the main conference room. The managing director stood at the front, smiling broadly. "I'm pleased to introduce our new regional head," he said. "He'll be overseeing operations and guiding our next phase of growth. Please welcome Mr. Thomas Whitaker." The door opened. Maribel's breath caught in her throat. He walked in with a calm confidence, wearing a tailored suit, his hair neatly styled, but his eyes were the same soft gray. He scanned the room, and then he saw her. For a second, his expression flickered with recognition, and his smile deepened. After the meeting, while colleagues whispered and speculated, Thomas approached Maribel. "Maribel Cross," he said warmly. She stood, heart racing. "Thomas?" He laughed softly. "It's good to see you again." She struggled for words. I didn't know. There's a lot you don't know," he said kindly. "May I explain?" They sat in a quiet corner of the break room. He told her that not long after she had last seen him, an old friend had tracked him down and helped him reconnect with the firm he had once helped build. A long-standing legal matter had finally been resolved in his favor, restoring not only his finances but also his professional standing. He had spent years rebuilding, determined to do things thoughtfully and responsibly. "But I never forgot you," he said. "Those mornings on the steps, they reminded me that I still mattered as a person, even when everything else felt uncertain. You treated me with dignity when you had no reason to." Maribel felt her eyes sting. "I just did what felt right." "And that," he replied, "is exactly why it mattered." Over the next few months, Thomas proved to be a steady, respectful leader. He listened carefully, encouraged teamwork, and made a point of learning everyone's name. When performance reviews came around, Maribel was called into his office. She sat nervously across from him as he reviewed her file. "Your record here is excellent," he said. "Your colleagues consistently describe you as reliable, thoughtful, and supportive. Those qualities are as important as technical skill." She nodded, trying to stay composed. "I'd like to offer you the role of senior operations manager," he continued. "It comes with more responsibility, but I believe you're ready." Maribel's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Completely." She left his office that day with a mix of disbelief and gratitude, her hands trembling as she called her parents with the news. As the months turned into another year, Maribel flourished in her new role. She introduced mentoring sessions for new staff, encouraged flexible schedules for working parents, and quietly made the office a kinder place to be. Thomas supported these changes wholeheartedly. One afternoon, as they stood by the office window overlooking the harbor, Maribel said, "Do you ever think about that day at the station?" He smiled. "Often. It reminds me of who I want to be." She nodded. "It reminds me that small choices can shape more than we realize." They stood in comfortable silence, watching ships glide slowly across the water. Years later, when Maribel would tell her own children about her career, she would always include the story of the man on the steps, not as a tale of coincidence or surprise, but as a reminder that kindness is never wasted, because sometimes a warm roll and a cup of tea are not just food. They are proof that someone sees you, and in seeing another person, you can quietly help change a life, including your own.